All right, this one's for Spotlight 29, casino entrance, retrofit, raceway, moving letters, etc., etc. So normally I wouldn't do a video for a raceway, pretty simple. But we haven't made a raceway like this. And I figured I'd explain a little bit what's going on because as we usually do, we'll come up with something, some sign will come along, and then all of a sudden we're doing a bunch of them. So about a month ago, we got to do some structural raceways for Loma Linda. So I kind of came up with an idea for that. And then shortly thereafter, another job came up that said, hey, we need structural raceways for channel letters. And so we're going to be using it on that. And then all of a sudden, within a week, here comes another. So retrofit structural raceways. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as the tester, as the test bed. This is the Oxcart program. Kitty's playing along at home. You can look that one up. So how this is built is kind of how we're going to build a couple other jobs coming up after this. The one for Loma Linda, and then there's another one for another shopping center that's going to require some beefy like structural raceways, not just the normal white on white 063 ones we make. So anyway, so this is just an explainer for it. So lay of the land, it's going to have power supply in it. So as usual, we're coming up with a very tricky kind of race power supply thing. So we'll go over that. I've got faces that'll have little reference kisses on the front, sort of like the Spotlight monument. And you'll have your bottom doors. Everything will be labeled. Look for that. So we got the tops of the raceways, got the bottoms of the raceways. The backers, which will act as jigs, we'll go over that. And then you'll have front jigs for the front. All your end cap pieces, and then your middle pieces, which we'll be going over. You'll have your mounting plates. So these little guys here amount to that. There's 11 of these sets. So keep that. Got your pattern there. Okay, so bend up your channels. You'll bend up your ends here. We're gonna do like a hot seam. You'll just tack it. There's no need to lords a thingamajigger in there. So get your tops and bottoms all bent. Get them ready. Get your ends ready. That's all good. The doors will be to the bottom. It'll be bottom access. Top will be solid. It's all good. So now the difference is what you're going to do is just bend this up, and that'll have a weldable seam there. And same thing here. This one's in 3 pieces here. So bend it up on both sides. And the backer is the jig that goes on the inside. So it'll have a solid backer. So that way there's no skin needed on the back. So the back will be solid. And then the front will be quote unquote open before you put the face on. And then you'll have jigs here, which are weld jigs / front jigs. So the fact that the back is completely solid, that's one big giant jig on the back. And then the front ones just go in the front and then have this tab that kind of sticks into the raceway. So you'll see there. Now, keep in mind, I've got CAS for casino. So I got casino 1 and I got casino 2. And then I got ENT for entrance. It's not ENT as in Tolkien. This is just, this is entrance 1 and entrance 2 and entrance 3. So that's the backers here. Entrance 1, entrance 2, entrance 3, working from the left over. So these are directional, these center pieces. So you'll have 2 facing in and 2 facing this way. And then on this one, you'll have 3 facing this way and you'll have 2 facing this way. Again, it's important that they face the right way because that way these are facing, the proper way. Anyway, so from a side profile, what we'll have is these ear tab things will poke in. That's in blue here. And then what you're going to do is just weld the tabs for the 1/4 inch. You're just going to take this plate, dog boat it in, make sure that it's square 90, and go ahead and burn it to the plate. And then what you're going to do is take that plate and slide it in from the rear, and you'll have openings in the back, and you'll have 193s that correspond to the back of the raceway on the 090 that correspond to these the 193s for the Clecos. So you use your 13/16 big boy Clecos, and you'll see where they line up with on the back of the of the Raceway there. So this thing will be sitting, so on a side profile, you can see where this will be sitting directly against the back of the Raceway. So you can actually tack the 1/4 inch to the back of the Raceway there. But the main thing is you'll be having this slide in, and then you'll take 1x2 and you'll slide it and skewer it through the whole thing. So you can see here, this is the 1x2. We'll go ahead and make that orange like that. So you can see where it'll slide all the way through, and it just kind of sticks out about 1 inch on the end here, and it sticks out 1 inch on that end here. So you'll build all this, and then you can take one of the end caps off and you can just slide it in. I did a 0.06 on the through holes here, so it shouldn't be too hard to skewer it through. But that's going to give it its rigidity and its structure. Then before you put the faces on, you'll have the ability to get your gun in there, and you can kind of just weld this 1/4 inch plate to the 1x on the inside. It's not going to take much, but you can see in the green right here, this is the 1/4 inch plate. So you'll have the ability to take a spool gun and just kind of run a bead right there and weld this plate to the 1x. And then as you go, you will also be able to weld the 09. You can tack it as well here and here and just work your way along. So that way, if you kind of mentally, you peel away all the 09, you'll just have this 1x2, like a chin-up bar, attached very securely by 1/4 inch plates to the wall. Then, then you have sort of this 090 crusty shell, candy shell, that is sort of also attached to the bar. So, but that gives you a super solid, super structurally sound way to mount this. And again, this is a little bit overkill for this particular job, but this is good practice, and keep this in mind for a couple jobs that are coming up that need to be a bit beefier. And this is kind of how going forward we can do some very, beefy structural raceways coming up. So that being said, so you'll have that in there. You'll have that all, tacked. You can, like I said, you could tack here onto the 09 on the back if you want. You go ahead and tack this to the bar. Once all this is secure, then it's just a matter of lordsing on the faces. Again, just like the other one, lords the faces with the reference kisses out. These little letters here will tell you which letter goes which, and those will be easily covered by the letters themselves, so you don't have to worry about prep. That's fine. But you'll see where these holes need to be covered up for light leaks. These are neon letters, so these need to be plugged as well, these big old holes. And you're going to be LEDing these. You need to put holes for power through, and you'll obviously will need to add more holes for strength and structure there. So like the A, you can use these holes to sort of line up, but you only have one hole in the Raceway. So you definitely need to add your own screw holes and mounting holes. Like the N only has 3 here. You have one that's sort of partial there. So anyway, so just work with these and add your holes, and then add your power holes through. Then you'll just run your wires. I made provisions for holding wires off the bottom. You can tuck them into these little hooks, and they'll live right in there. And then also you can zip tie the as they go along on the bar here. You can kind of zip tie them to the bar and keep the wires up off the bottom, because 1/2 inch clearance off the bottom. So that's that. As far as power is concerned, the bottom doors will have their own separate little unit here that will be where the switch lives. So on the bottom you have this big opening, and the switch and the power supply live on this door. So you're going to make this assembly here. Let's see, what's a good side view? Let's use this as a side view. So here's your power supply. That's going to get nailed down to the red here. Is just going to be a piece of angle, or a bent piece of channel you make. And then the inner piece here. So where blue is, that's going to be your rivets. And then it's going to have a cover that will get screwed on. That gets frapped like that. And then it's also going to have this cover here that, let's see, go like that. This will be for the switch. So we can actually get rid of that. So you'll bring in the switch, bonk, and you'll frap it on the front. And then this cover will be what covers everything and actually encloses the switch as well. So from a top view, this would be the switch piece that comes off. Let's see, I gotta ungroup it. Ungroup. So this will be the switch piece that comes off. that goes on first, and then this whole purple thing will cover everything and give like water coverage to the power supply. So on the side, it'll be sort of open, but that allows you to get your power in and out and gives a little breathability. But it creates this nice little enclosure for the switch. So the switch just installs directly to this top red plate. You got your 2 ground screws and you got a spot for a GE, and then you'll be able to frap those. I have numbers on these. What I'm saying is you need to put the switch box on first, this little unit here. So you'll frap that on first, and then you bring in the cover second, because you can see where it'll enclose that. But you can't get the switch thing in. You can't get this little switch box in if you frap this on first. So it's sort of a 1-2. So take the blue part here, slide it into the red part, make sure that this tab is on this end so it closes it up. And then you have this end on this side, rivet that permanent, all 6 rivets, and then take the blue where the orange holes are here. They correspond to the lid, and you go ahead and permanently rivet those on from the outside. So yeah, you'll see 3 rivets from the outside. No big deal, because you'll be seeing the screws anyway. So no, but yes, this whole assembly gets permanently riveted to the door skin, and then the door skin theoretically will just kind of poke up into here. So the power supply will live right there. And then, so I didn't know, I figured you could probably do one of these with just one power supply, all of this, but I didn't know what they would be doing with their primary power. So I don't know if maybe primary power would be here, and then maybe they'd run it, or I don't know. So if they wanted to maybe talk to install, you could forego doing a whole separate second setup for the second side, but sometimes it's easier to just run primary to both. So install, keep that in mind. I do have primary here, then I have primary here for both raceways. Or if you want to jump 24 volt low voltage over, but we just got to make sure that I think that's enough to run all of this in just one power supply. You might be able to just do the power supply here and then just do a single run over, and then just do 24 volt for this one, and then just keep your primary here. But either way, I have primary here and I have primary here for both of them, just in case you wanted to be separate. So, and then you can just, shoot into the Raceway where you see fit. So anyway, so in order to make this watertight, one last thing I want to bring up, we want to go ahead and caulk the 1/4-inch plate to the backer plate. So this hole right here, you can see where, let's see, where do I have it? I have it here. So you can see where this 1/4-inch plate is bigger than in the through hole in the back, but this will allow water to kind of come in through the side, because this plate will be 090 off of this. So what you might want to do is just run a bead of caulk from here and seal that, just do a fillet weld or fillet bead right there, and just go along the back of each mounting plate and make sure you seal it off. That way water can't get in here. Plus the whole backside, you'll probably want to just shoot a little bit of caulk on each of these holes on the backside to make sure that they get all sealed up, especially like these plates here. Because I don't know if prep probably won't bondo on the back. Prep will probably bondo the front, but again, make sure that they don't bondo the reference kissed ones. And when you add any holes, you want to make sure you reference kiss them as well to make sure that they don't bondo them up. So anyway, that's it. So that's your cut list there. You got your long and your shorty. But again, just kind of go to school on this. And if this works well, I'd like to get some feedback on it, make sure it works okay. And then this is probably going to be what we're going to do on a couple more jobs coming up. So, and then going forward, using this like bar welded to, 1/4 plates for good structure might be how we do structural raceways going forward, instead of just when we don't need just the standard little 063 boxes. So anyway, if you have any questions, hit me up.